Hi, so welcome back, and it's glad to see you again. Now that we are back and we've gone through the document given from the very first class about understanding the basic tools of Illustrator, now we'll get to understand how to the output platforms or the output plan for Illustrator and how to use these tools using practical examples. So let's get to it. Now, you need to understand how to save in Illustrator, and the first thing you need to do is go to File. You see Save, there is Save As, there is Save As Copy, there is Save As Template, and Save As Selected Splice. Now, all these things are useful for certain reasons. If you want to save, just click Save. It opens up your dialog box, and then you save it somewhere. So for me, I'll be saving this particular document into our Illustrator folder. Now you go to OAE exercise folder, open Illustrator folder, and save it in a folder. Now create a new folder and title it Essential Practice. Now once you title Essential Practice, inside it you give it a document name, and the document name you want to give this is Practice 1. Now once you have that saved, it brings up this dialog box. Don't worry, just click OK and you're fine. Now you see that the name has changed from normal untitled to Practice 1, and from Practice 1 we can get to do everything we need to do and always save in intervals. Now this is a pro tip I want to give you as someone who has been using Illustrator for a while. You need to always save at intervals, maybe at every 5 minutes or anytime you remember to save, because you don't want to get stuck in a position where you worked for 3 hours, you didn't save, and then Illustrator shuts down. That would be a really terrible state. So please always save, and to save with your keyboard controls is Ctrl S. If you want to save as, it is Ctrl Shift S, and if you want to save as copy, it is alternate Ctrl S. In a much advanced class, we'll be talking about the save as templates and every other thing. And the next thing you need to understand about saving is the export option. Now for the export option, we'll be doing this once we start with the examples we're working on and the practical. So let's jump into that. Now, so I'm sure you've learned about the keyboard shortcuts and what these tools do. Now, we'll be starting with the creation tools. And then the first thing we need to do is use the pen tool. Now, the pen tool is for you to create lines or curves, because as its name says, it's a pen, so you can use it to do anything. So now we'll try to draw a couple of things, and first we'll be drawing a spline, and just watch the screen as I do this. So first, click on one part of your screen. You see that it creates a line. Now click to the second part, and you can see it gives us lines, and once you connect the edges, it gives you a line. Now this can be converted into a shape, and to convert it into a shape, all you need to do is go to your selection tool, not your direct selection, now your selection tool, and you can see it selects everything. And now on your controls toolbar, the options for your creations are showing now, and what you need to do is just either select it, either create the fill for your shape or create a stroke. Now for any shape you create on any Adobe software or for any shape you create on Illustrator, you have two options. One, it has the fill, which is the space in the middle, which is yellow right now, and then you have the stroke. The stroke is the border lines around your shape. Now on your controls toolbar, you can easily just navigate through all these things and select whichever option you want. So let's say I'm trying to select red. I select red, the fill is now red, and then I go to the stroke and I select blue. Now the stroke is there, but you might not really see it. So all you need to do is use your your direct selection tool, and then once you select, you can now increase the stroke using the stroke control that we have up here. And this is what we have. Now you can select it again and decide not to have strokes at all. Select the none, and then it goes away. Now let's use our selection tool to actually define exactly what we're trying to do here. Now the direct selection tool helps you select something directly. For example, I want to select this line at the top. Once I select it, only this line moves. Can we see it? Only this line moves. When it's the direct selection tool, everything moves. I hope that's clear enough. So direct selection tool allows you to transform easily, and to transform you can either select your transformation tools, or once you have this, you can see these vertices all around. Just click them and scale. Now, one thing you need to understand about Photoshop, Illustrator, and basic Adobe softwares is that your scaling needs to work with three main shortcuts: your Shift key, your Controls key, and your Alternate key. So if I want to scale this without losing this particular shape I have right now, as I hold down the Shift key, and then the shape remains to whatever size. Now, if I hold Alternate and Shift, what it does is that it scales from the midpoint, and this is what you have. Please just try it as I'm doing it on the screen so you can be very familiar with this. Now, I did some actions just now, which is the alignment actions. Now, for Illustrator, there are some things called smart guides and your grid lines and some other things. So you can easily just scale this, and what you need to do is just hold down Alt and Shift if you want to scale towards the midpoint or outside the midpoint. And then the next thing is, if you hold only Shift, it scales just to one side or the other side. So you can use your Shift to mirror an image to the top or down, whichever one you want to try. Now, that is for the pen tool. Now, the pen tool can also perform another action called creating curves or a spline or any random objects. Now, one thing you need to do is this: instead of just drawing lines or clicking places, click the first time, and by the time you're clicking the second time, you hold it down and then you move your mouse. You can see it creates a curve, and now we're starting to actually define a curved element. Then the next thing you do is, instead of creating curves again, once you click it once, it becomes a line. So you can start, this is now a line, and instead of achieving this, to go back to the previous action, just press Ctrl Z and it goes back to the previous action. Now, the same thing, click once and then draw or move it till it gives you a curve. The same thing, click and it gives you a curve, and then to complete it up, click and you have a curve. Now I can just close this up to get this kind of effects. Now this is what we have, and now this can be adjusted or modified depending on what you want to create, but that's just the basic way of using the pen tool. Now for the type tool, which the shortcut is T, it's just to select, it's just to create typography or to create text. And once you click on your screen, impute whatever it is you want to impute. So once you click on your screen, and it creates a text window for you to impute your text. Now I'll type on the keyboard Optimized and Equipped. Now once I type this, you notice that on the toolbar at the top, we already have the option for the controls of the text or the text tool on the top here. And now you can easily just select your font, whichever font you want to use. So let's select Gotham, and now you can choose what font weight or font family you want. So I select bold, and this is to increase the height or the weight of the text. Now instead of doing this, you can always just scale it to achieve the same effect. So instead of increasing the font size, all you need to do is just select direct selection, your selection tool, and scale. So make sure you hold Shift to make it remain the way it's supposed to be. And you can see this is look visually appealing compared to when I scale without holding Shift. Now never do this to a font. Please, I'm begging you, never do this to a font. Never scale a font, because this just looks horrible. Even though it looks a little bit nice, but it doesn't look good. So that's just the basic way to do it. Now we'll be moving to most of the transformation tools, and then this is to rotate. Now the shortcut for this is R. Click R on your keyboard and then you have rotate, and I can select this to rotate. So you just select this and you can easily just rotate whichever way you want it. Now you see that most of these things can be done using the quick selection tool, the selection tool, because it already has everything involved in just that one tool. So it's a very functional tool that you can use at every point in time. It allows you to rotate, it allows you to scale, and it allows you to transform. So let's just move this one side and then understand a few more things about the tools. Now, one very important thing you need to take note of now is under the creation tools, you need to know how to use the shapes tool, which is where you have rectangle, rounded rectangles, ellipse, and every other thing. And then after that, your eraser tool is there, which is to erase things. You can see how I can erase this now with the eraser. Even though it's an element, it's still erasable. And to undo this, just press Ctrl Z and you're back to the default. Now I want you to take note of something for Illustrator, or for anything you'll be learning in the remaining two modules, that these things are meant to be practiced over time. You can't get it right the very first time. Understand that. So what you need to do now is, on your own spare time, after this class ends, I want you to just go back to Illustrator and pick each of these tools and just practice with them. And then I'll advise you to still do a little bit more research, because this class is just an introduction to make you understand how these things can be used and what you can produce with them. So I will advise you to do more research, read the materials we're giving you, and bring yourself up to speed with everything you're learning about Illustrator. Now all these tools are very friendly, so don't be scared to practice with anyone. Nothing you do right now has to be perfect. So give yourself, or allow yourself, the freedom to just, express yourself and play with these things. And I'm very sure over time you know these things, and you too will become a master at creating designs in Illustrator. So this is just the basics for understanding the Illustrator interface and everything you need to know about Illustrator, the tools and the essential practice. And I'll see you in the next class.